Hamilton County Board of Election meeting to order. Today is November the 20th, 2023. Calling the meeting to order at 8:35 in the morning. Also would like to indicate the proper notice has been given under the revised code ORC 121.22. So we'd like to begin our meeting with the pledge and ask all those who have served our country or serve in our country to please lead us. And thank you for serving our country. Okay, we have board meeting minutes from November the 6th and the 7th of 2023 that have been sent out. Are there any changes, revisions, or amendments to those minutes?
I'll move approval of the board meeting minutes.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? And that motion passes. Next on our agenda is ballot remakes. Ms. Poland?
Yes, Madam Chair, we do have ballots that needed to be remade since election night, and Administrator Krista Criddle will present those to the board.
Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you. The first category we have are the UOCAVA ballots, which are the uniformed overseas citizens. Those are A313 through A364.
I'll move approval of those ballots as remade.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? And that motion carries.
Thank you. The next ballot that we have, these are stray, they had stray marks on them that were reviewed by the director and deputy director. Those are A365 through A367.
I move approval of the stray mark ballots as remade.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? Then that motion carries. Next one, Crystal.
Thank you. So we have one that was a precinct mismatch that had come in. The ballot is A368.
I'll move approval of ballot A368 as remade.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? And that motion carries.
Thank you. The last category we have, these are election day unscanned ballots that were damaged, and those are P1 through P5.
I'll move approval of those ballots as remade.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is approval and discussion of the November 7th, 2023 general election provisional report. Looks like we had total provisionals issued was 4,961, and out of there, 3,852 were accepted. The numbers still remain high for those individuals who were not registered at that time. What do you think that means, Sherry or Alex?
Well, Madam Chair, would you like us to go through each category
Yes.
separately and so that the board can take action on each one?
That would work, yes.
Okay. As you mentioned, there were 4,961 provisional ballots cast in the election. Our bipartisan teams reviewed the provisional envelopes per Secretary of State directive and board policy. In your packet, you have the provisional summary report, and its staff recommendation is laid out in the report. Would you like us to take this category by category, starting with the rejected?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Again, you'll find on the summary report the number of voters that were not registered and cast a provisional ballot was 602. Those voters were not registered to vote in the state of Ohio by the deadline, so staff recommendation is to reject those.
I'll move to reject the 602 voters who were not registered properly under the law.
Second.
But they were not registered, but they have an opportunity.
Yes, as long as the provisional envelope was filled out correctly, then these voters will be registered based on their provisional envelope for the next election. If there was a discrepancy on the envelope that would not allow us to register them, our registration department will mail them a new registration card.
Thank you.
The next category.
I don't think
oh,
we voted.
Sorry.
Seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? That motion carries.
The next category is there were 206 provisional envelopes submitted where the voter did not provide a date of birth on the envelope, and that is required.
I'll move that we reject those 206 ballot envelopes as not being properly completed by the voter.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yes. I know it's a little, this percentage is a little different than the last election, but that is a high number of provisionals get rejected because they didn't put their date of birth. And I know we had a template that we were using, and I just think that a lot of information is crammed in that envelope, and I was talking to Alex, I think you guys have a solution maybe to recommend, possibly to the Secretary of State, that there be some kind of slight redesign, because all that information is crammed in that little area that's supposed to be, they must fill it out, and then maybe some changing of the language in there where it tells you don't put the election date on the envelope, put your date of birth. It maybe should be put in a different area, not right there before you have to put your date of birth. And a lot of people just skip over that part. I just think this is a high number of people who did everything except for put their date of birth, and their ballot gets thrown out.
I agree with Joe that if there's something we can do to drive that number down, if it's a redesign of the envelope or something that, we make that recommendation, I'd support that.
Any more discussion? And I support it as well, because something seems so minor to us, but yet it definitely has an effect on their ability to, their voting record or their vote to be counted. Did you second that?
I made it. I think Joe seconded it. Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? That motion carries with the recommendation as well to the Secretary of State.
Madam Chair, the next category is there were 193 envelopes submitted where the voter did not provide a valid ID.
I'll move that we reject those ballots.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yes. That number seems high as well. I mean, in the past, Sherry, is that, has it been that high for no valid ID?
I believe in the August election it was. If you recall, the law changed earlier this year, and there's photo ID is now required of voters in the state of Ohio. So it's a different type of ID that is required.
Right, so we got almost 500 ballots that are thrown out because of the law change, pretty much. If you add the date of birth and the no valid ID.
That's true. And when you add all three of those, it's a little over 1,000.
Oh, yeah, 400, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the registration is not a result of the law change.
right. but
Yeah,
still.
date of birth is also, there was no change in the law regarding date of birth either. We think that voters are missing that because of the change in the form, but the date of birth has always been required.
And it's still less than 0.5%, but whatever. The goal is always 0, of course.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? That motion carries.
Madam Chair, the next category is there were 61 ballots that were cast in the wrong location.
I'll move that we reject those 61 ballots for being cast in the wrong location.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yep. Now that, again, that number seems kind of high. I mean, I don't know what the reasoning is, if it's some people who vote here at the Board of Elections, or the voter just did not want to go to the correct poll location once they've been instructed to. How does this number compare to our previous wrong location?
I believe that this is I haven't gone back and looked at the numbers and compared them, but just in my experience, this is pretty much on par, which what we normally see. I don't know that this has been, this number has increased. It's much lower than it was years ago,
No doubt.
since the implementation of electronic poll books.
Okay.
One thing that's interesting, as I was leaving on Election Day, there was a lady that was coming here, and she'd just gotten off from work and had to pick up her baby, and then she was trying to get to her polling area, but she worked downtown. It was quicker to get here than it was to get to her polling area because she was catching a bus, so therefore, I don't even know she made it to her polling area in time. And you know, when you look at, because she thought she could come here to vote, and she was redirected, you know, back to her.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
On election day, people think they can vote here.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? That motion carries.
The next category, there were 14 voters who did not provide a current address on the envelope, which is required.
I'll move to reject those 14 provisional ballot envelopes.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And that motion carries.
There was one voter who did not sign the provisional envelope, and that's also required.
I'll move that we reject just that one provisional ballot envelope.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? And that motion carries.
There were 8 provisional envelopes that contained a non-matching signature, meaning the signature on the provisional envelope did not match the signature that we have on file in the voter registration system. The deputy director and I reviewed all 8 of these, and we did compare them to every signature that we have on file for each one of these voters, and there just simply was not a match.
I'll move that we reject those 8 ballot envelopes.
Second.
Any more discussion?
I have one question. I know we can't reach out to the voters, you know, do any special effort to ask them about if their signature changed and all that, but is there something we could do to send them something to see if their signature has been updated? They can fill out the form and update their signature so it matches in the future?
Yes, we can, there is a form that a voter can use to update their signature, and we can send a letter along with that form to each one of these voters.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or anyone abstaining? And that motion carries.
Madam Chair, there were 6 provisional envelopes submitted that contained no ballot.
I'll move that we reject those 6 envelopes since there's no ballot.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And that motion carries.
There were 5 voters who submitted provisional envelopes that did not contain their printed name.
I'll move that we reject those 5 for not having the appropriate printed name on the ballot envelope.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, I reluctantly, this is one thing that's, I just think that is wrong, that you can identify everything about this voter, their date of birth, their signature, their regular signature, and then that first line that says print name being one of those strict compliance things. I don't know why it has to be strict compliance, because if you can put cursive on that first line and you can read their name, I don't know why we have to throw out somebody's ballot because they put cursive instead of print. I just think that we should try to work and get a change in the law to change that one thing. Just don't make it a strict compliance issue. I know we can't do anything about it now, but I think it's just wrong that we're throwing out people's ballots because they didn't print their name.
Because so many people.
In these cases, these people left the field blank where they're supposed to print their name.
Okay.
So if they wrote in cursive and it was legible, we would have accepted it.
You would have?
Yeah.
We haven't in the past. I just didn't know if you guys are doing different.
In this case, it's when they left that field blank.
Okay.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
Next category, there were 9 provisional ballots submitted by voters who also cast a ballot by mail. So their vote by mail ballots were counted. The 9 provisionals need to be rejected.
I'll vote that we reject these 9 voters so they don't get the vote twice.
Second.
Any more discussion? I just have one point. A lot of times, individuals think that their ballot, or they haven't received it, or they maybe forgot, you know? And I just think that, again, it has a lot to do with how we educate our voters regarding, you know, this whole process. So,
Madam Chair, we'll look into these 9. Like, as we typically do, we'll look into these 9 to determine.
Yes, the deputy director and I will review, contact the voters, and report back to the board.
Thank you.
And I'll just, I will have the same question regarding the next item, so I'll just make my point now. Thank you.
thank you. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
Okay. The next category, there were 6 voters who appeared twice in person and cast ballots, so it's our recommendation that these 6 be rejected, as the voters already had ballots cast and counted in this election.
I'll move that we reject those 6 ballot envelopes.
Second.
Any more discussion? You want to follow up as well?
I've made my point regarding this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? And that motion carries. So, next, Ms. Boland.
Yes, there's 2 provisional envelopes that are pending board review. Both of these voters submitted provisional ballots. These voters filled out the envelopes. Everything matched our record except for their date of birth. And under Ohio law, if the month and day of birth is a mismatch in our records, the board can vote in public session to count these ballots. On the first provisional ballot that was submitted, the date of birth that is on file is February 4th, 1941, and the date put on the envelope is April 4th, 1941.
On that one ballot, I'll move we open and count that ballot.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? And that motion carries.
On the second, the date of birth on file with our office is July 21st, 1961. The voter recorded July 27th, 1961 on the provisional envelope.
I'll move we open and count that ballot.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? That motion carries.
People born in 61. I couldn't resist, sorry.
So we have one more category, which is the largest category. There was 3,852 provisional envelopes. Staff recommends the board accepts for counting.
I'll move that we accept 3,852 provisional envelopes that have been identified by the staff, and that we accept them for counting and adding them to the official count.
Second.
Any more discussion?
So what's that percentage now? Where are we now with our percentage of?
That gets us to a 78% acceptance rate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any more
I'll accept it.
discussion? You second it? Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? That motion carries. Sure we've got it all. Okay. Any more discussion?
No, Madam Chair, just as far as way as process, our bipartisan teams will now open and remove the ballots on those provisionals that the board voted to accept, and we'll begin the official count. And we'll meet back here Wednesday at 8:30 a.m., where we'll have the final results and ask the board to certify.
Looking forward to that. I have one thing, and on November the 6th, the county commissioner, Hamilton County Board of Commissioners recognized Election Hero Day. and they came in after our meeting. So I'd like to just, for information purposes, there are a lot of whereases, but I'd like to say that the final whereas says, now therefore be it proclaimed that the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners recognize the hard work and dedication of poll workers and urges voters and all county residents to celebrate and thank these individuals, and do hereby proclaim this 6th day of November 2023 as Election Hero Day in all of Hamilton County. So just give everybody a hand that's even not here. So let's just do that. So that was a proclamation from the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners. And I don't have anything. You have anything, Alex? Anyone else? Like to entertain a motion to adjourn?
I'll move that we adjourn.
All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining? And as I say, none but the devil. Thank you.